Hey, what's going on, everybody? Um, I wanted to bring you this special edition of the Cinehorde Review. This is the first video thoughts on film that I've done, and actually, this is the first edited video I've done in a long time. And there's a reason for that I'll go into before I talk about today's topic. The reason I usually just go for two people talking in front of a camera or uh, me and my homeboy go for the one person like this talking in front of a camera is because I used to spend quite a bit of time like doing graphics and stuff for our other videos in the past, including when I ran another channel called I Suck at Games. And when we started branching into movies, we ended up getting a bunch of copyright claims and strikes and takedown notices and all this other crap. And after a while, it just was not worth it wasn't worth the effort. But I'm gonna give it another shot and try to do this on a slightly higher level than what we've normally done. So what am I talking about today, and what the hell is Thoughts on Film? Well, if you've been checking out my blog down there, see that down there. Um, Thoughts on Film is just me talking about a movie in not so much a review kind of way. And today I want to talk about a Pixar short film that showed up on the Disney Plus streaming service that just recently launched, and it's called Float. Um, I really didn't know about this short film. I am a bit of a Pixar fanboy because I studied CG animation and VFX in school, and um, they were always innovating both technologically and in terms of storytelling craft, and they really pushed the limits of what CG could do as a storytelling medium. Um, and if you can see any of their previous short films, a couple of them are probably playing right now if I decided to put them up there. Um, Most of those were proof of concept films, either to test out a new piece of technology. One was the Catmull shader. Um, the other had to do with lighting before they did Toy Story, um, which is actually where the Toy Story idea came from. And then you had For the Birds that tested out their hair fur system that they used for Monsters Inc. They used it for feathers in this one, and things like that. So these were ways for them to invest R&D money into a system and then see what it was capable of. Since that time, though, um, technology has matured quite a bit, and Pixar has perfected the art of digital storytelling, in my opinion. And now we're starting to see more experimental short films that deal with topics that maybe previous short films from them would not. Like Bao. If anybody remembers that, there's a little, image of it up here. Um, that was a touching short film about the relationship between mother and child, and with a funny twist. If any of you saw that, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, go look for it on YouTube. I think I ran across it while I was doing research for this video. Okay, so now really on to today's topic. This movie is about a father and child, both of which are Filipino American, which is actually how I found this. It was an ABC article about a short film that I had never heard about. And the guy behind the short is named Bobby Rubio. He's a Filipino dude, and he wanted to kind of share a bit of Filipino-ness with the world, and I think he did a good job. And I shed some tears, man, because it's about a kid who can float, and when the dad first discovers the kid can float, he's like, "Yeah, this is pretty cool. Look at my kid; he can float." But he realizes very quickly that people react with fear at the sight of this kid floating toward them, or being all happy floating in the air, all weird, like kind of like a balloon with helium and Super Saiyan Filipino hair. Um, and so from that point on, he puts a leash on the kid. He puts rocks in his backpack, and he walks him to school. But the kid slips away, ends up in a playground, and he starts floating. And there was one line that hit me. He said, "Why can't you just be normal?" That's what the dad said to the kid. And the kid immediately drops. The dad realizes exactly what he did. He takes his kid in his arms, puts him on the swing with him, and rocks back and forth. And when the kid starts feeling better, he starts using his levitation powers to move the swing with them. And I thought it was a really fitting end. I definitely recommend checking it out for yourself. It's technically superb, but there's a couple things I really wanted to talk about. Um, I found an article on Vox, I'll leave a link in the description, that talked about this as an allegory, or they said metaphor, but yeah, it's an allegory because it's a story. Um, and it kind of teaches the value of acceptance. That's what allegory does. It tries to teach a lesson, right? And an allegory for having a kid on the autism spectrum, and I could definitely see that because when you have a child with what's sometimes labeled a neurodiverse aspect or a learning disability or whatever, uh, it's easy to lose patience, um, especially in the beginning, before you're fully accustomed with how to deal with that stuff. And I can definitely see that in this film. But I also can see validity in the reading that it's an allegory for cultural assimilation by Filipinos. You know, my grandpa, for example, didn't teach my mom how to speak Ilocano or Tagalog. My grandma didn't teach them how to speak Hawaiian because they wanted my mom and my uncles to grow up um, facing less discrimination than they did as children and as adults. And that's what I see in this movie when the dad says, "Why can't you just be normal?" He doesn't say that because he doesn't love his kid. It's clear from the very beginning he loves his kid. And growing up in the family that I did, um, I always felt, even when I didn't feel so great, that my family loved me. And unfortunately, sometimes love comes out as fear. They don't want you to suffer the same hardships that they did. They don't want you to have to deal with the meanness that they did. And so they try to shelter you from that by trying to make you as normal as they possibly can, what they see as normal, what they think will make it easy, what they think will make it but I can't talk. I'm just going to leave that in. They want you to grow up in a way that they think will make life easier for you. And sometimes that works out, and sometimes it doesn't. And I think that that's what this movie showcases very well in terms of growing up in immigrant families. I don't think that this just speaks to the Filipino American experience. I think it has very broad appeal. And I also think that if you are a creative person in a family that is full of pragmatic people, um, people that want you to travel well trodden career paths because they want you to be financially secure. I think you'll find something here too because a floating kid, could be seen as a visual representation of what it's like to be a creative person with your mind always darting from one thing to another, trying to find the next perfect creative endeavor, right? Or perfect a craft like drawing, painting, digital art, guitar, whatever, acting. And some families, particularly families that come from other countries that had large financial difficulties, but not exclusively that, they don't want you to have to put yourself through more hardship than necessary. So they try to like push you in one direction or another. And at the end of the day, though, at least in my case, um, a lot of times they learn to accept you for who you are. And I think that is really a message worth sharing. In fact, Bobby Rubio dedicated the film to his son and said, "Thank you for making me a better dad." And really, that's all I have to say. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you liked it at all, or you like my face, or you don't like my face, hit the like, the comments, and the subscribes. And I will be back next week with a viewer requested review, and I'll let you guys know what that is very soon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the movies.